Welcome to Flipping and Wholesale. What the? Why am I always never straight? Welcome to Flipping and Wholesaling. Is that the name of my content? Flipping and Wholesaling Properties. Flipping and Wholesaling in New York channel. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling properties in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So, someone asked me about fire damage properties. I immediately dismissed it because I thought it was a foolish topic, but I think it's something that people want to know. I've done a bunch of fire damage properties, so you got to understand every single county it's different. So, and every town is different. So, the town of Hempstead, I did one in town of Hempstead. I did one in a village. When there's a fire, right, and there aren't a lot of fires here, to be honest. But when a property is damaged by fire, what usually happens in our area is that the fire department has to file a fire report with the building department. And what the report basically says is that the 12 basement joists were damaged, need to be replaced. All fascia on one side needs to be replaced. It's basically a list of the structural issues that need to be replaced, right? Which makes sense, right? Because sometimes the fire department goes in like with axes and they chop up things and you're not sure what's on. I've actually done a few more than two fire damaged properties. So sometimes though you get a property, you don't even realize the fire report on it, and then you realize you did. So I had a property in Elmont that had a fire a long time ago that they never filed a permit to fix. So there was a fire in the basement, and there were joists that were black. And I didn't know that because they were already sheetrocked over, and then I had to deal with that issue. That happens. Now, what you need to know about fire damage properties is that you must get a fire report if that is standard procedure in your building department, because you need to know what you need to do, and you are always going to have to file a permit to repair the property, right? A lot of times when I buy properties, I do not file permits, right? Because there are a lot of things I do that are extremely cosmetic, painting, tiling, where you don't need technically to file a permit, right? Where plumbing isn't being moved, electrical is not being moved, direct replacement situations where you're just changing a sink. You may or may not need a permit. And again, every single municipality is different. So every township, right? There are 3 towns in Nassau County: town of Hempstead, town of North Hempstead, town of Oyster Bay. And every single village, Lynbrook, Malvern, Valley Stream, there's a million villages. 2 cities in Nassau County: Glen Cove and Long Beach. And then in Suffolk, you got all the villages and all the townships: Islip, Babylon, Brookhaven, Huntington, blah, blah, blah. You got to find out what's their story is. Everybody's got different requirements. It's not simple, right? Because some require a fire report, some don't. Some are going to require, you need to know what's needed, right? I give this example in Malvern all the time. I think this is still the rule in Malvern. If you replace one window, you do not need to file a permit. If you replace 2 windows, you need to file a permit. These are the kind of stupid things that show up. So you need to know the laws in your area. But understand that you cannot get away without filing with not filing a permit once there's a fire report, because the end user buyer that you're going to sell it to is going to have an open fire issue, and they're going to want to know whether these repairs were made correctly or not, and they're going to want a sign off from the building department. So that is important. What I hear a lot, and which is not as big a deal as you think, is people go in, they go, "Oh, it smells. We're never going to get smell out." Smells come out much quicker than you think, right? Whatever is smoke and fire damaged is going to probably have to be replaced anyway. Black wood, these things are going to have to be replaced. That gets out most of the smell. When you put new sheetrock and you paint, that takes away a lot of smell. Just to get off topic a little, I go into a lot of houses where it stinks from either cat urine or dog urine. I see this all the time. Pull up the carpets, there are circular stains of cat peeing on the carpet that seep through to the hardwood. Dogs doing the same thing all the time. Sorry, I gotta get water. And what happens is people think, "Oh, the smell's never going to come out." I got to tell you, smells come out much easier than you think, right? We sand those floors, take off a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch of them if we can, and then we stain them dark. The stains go away and the smell goes away. Sometimes there's stink in the sheetrock. You have to pull the sheetrock down and redo the sheetrock, but smells go away. It's not as hard and difficult as you think. Certain things you may have to do that are expensive. Like sometimes the stink gets into the grout on the tile floor. You have to retile. That gets a little expensive. Sanding and staining hardwood floors are not such a big deal. But back to fire. So again, every fire damaged property I've done never smelled a fire when I was done doing the work. But again, all of the actual fire damaged material is going to be removed, right? And sometimes it's a big job, right? And sometimes it's a real structural. I had a property in West Hempstead where I think it was a meth lab and the huge fire in the basement, and I had to take out the floor right when you walked in, take out the subfloor and the floor, and put that in. That was, it was a time. It took a lot of time, but in the end, it was perfect. It didn't smell at all. So sometimes you'll see a house where there's, half the house is ripped apart by fire. Very often it's cheaper to knock it down. Right now, people use that word knockdown all the time. Right? People go, "Oh, it's a knockdown," because I use it very, very, very sparingly and conservatively. There are very few times I've come to a house where I felt I had to knock it down. It does happen, but usually I can keep the structure. Much easier to keep the structure, especially if I'm not filing permits, and simpler. Anytime you're doing more, you're doing a pop top or you're adding a second layer, it gets expensive and structural and you need permits. And anytime you get municipalities involved, it gets longer and more complicated, and things add, little things add to more things. So I would say that when it comes to fire damage, I've bid on but never bought a house where literally like half the exterior was ripped apart by fire. That's a situation where to fix it almost doesn't make sense, right? It's better to knock it down and rebuild it as it was, or better, or bigger, depending on the situation. But all the fire damage properties that I closed on, it was interior fire damage. Couldn't really tell from the outside. Get a lot of busted windows, right? The fire departments in our area come with axes and they knock things, break things up. I had to redo windows, but I didn't need, I need to do structural work, interior structural work, but not exterior. But these things that happen. Sometimes you have metal beams holding the property up that melt from the temperature. So every situation is different, but always know what you're going to have to do, and know in advance that you're almost certainly going to have to file a permit, because most places, at least in our area, require a fire report. The only way to clear that fire report off title, which is going to show up when you try and sell the property to an end user buyer, is to file a permit repairing the property as the building department needs. So that's it. It's, fire doesn't scare me. It shouldn't scare you. But if something is really ravaged by fire to the point where the roof is all gone, half the exterior walls are gone because they were just burned through, then you probably got to start thinking of how much new construction is going to cost. That's pretty much all I got for fire damage. Anything else on fire damage? I'm supposed to talk for 10 minutes, as a YouTube gurus say. Fire damage. I think that's all I have. So I hope this was helpful. Fire damage properties are good properties. I wish there was good lists of fire damage properties in our area. Usually aren't. I know there are plenty of municipalities where you can get a list of every fire damage property, and that's a great place to go for leads, because those are sellers who probably want to sell. Another thing I would say is I've done this many times. It rarely happens, but I'll tell people say I want to keep the house. I'm just going to take the insurance money and I'm going to keep the house. And I tell them I beg of you, unless you're planning to move in. No, I want to fix it up and then I'm going to sell it. I tell them, just let me buy it now, take the insurance money and keep it. You'll end up better off. Every single time I've told that to somebody, and I've done it maybe a dozen times, they've all come back to me later and said, you were right, I screwed up. Most people do not want to do work. They get screwed by contractors. Problems happen like that all the time. They think it's going to cost $200, it ends up costing $300. They think it's going to take 6 months, it ends up taking 24 months, and people want to pull their hair out. Much better to sell it to an investor now, get paid from the insurance company, unless you have a jerk insurance company that isn't going to pay you. Some don't. But there's no reason for you not to just get a big fat check from the insurance company and then a big fat check from somebody like me and walk away and let this whole mess be somebody else's problem. That's what I've done in the past. It works sometimes, doesn't always work. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. What else? If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help my SEO, my search engine optimization. More people have been seeing my videos because of you liking them. So thank you very much. Like or share and comment. And comments are really important. I go live 5 times a week. I don't know what the hell to talk about most of the time. I know that you probably have not watched all my videos, but in my mind, if I did a video 6 weeks ago about topic X, it's just not coming back to me. I feel like I've done it. It's my own stupidity. I know I should be talking about things that you want, so send me comments. This came from a request. I will be happy to do a video on any topic you want. If it's a simple question, might just reply with an answer. If it's something I've done before, I might send you links to the videos. If it's something new or something I haven't covered in a while, I'll do a new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it.